I've been a big fan of 3D printing for quite a while now. I bought my first Ender 3, well, my only Ender 3, my only 3D printer, quite a few years ago, and I've done a lot of projects with it. This, which you might have seen my other YouTube video about, an 18-volt Milwaukee power bank, complete with a 240-volt inverter. Pretty cool. I've done another similar power bank. This one's cracked, but also fits the Milwaukee batteries. Just some USB ports and an output for my soldering iron. I made adapters for this really cheap 36-volt brushless chainsaw so that I could use my existing 18-volt system without having to buy an expensive Milwaukee chainsaw. I 3D scanned this RC rock crawler. I never finished this because I moved on to a different project. But that was pretty cool. Made countless little trays and brackets for things. I wanted a touchscreen radio in my Land Cruiser, and instead of buying one like a chump, I took the Raspberry Pi 7-inch touchscreen and designed this bezel to really closely match the original Land Cruiser's bezel. It even has the original AC vent. And it's made out of a few different parts that are glued together and then covered in auto body filler and sanded and painted. I even designed my own version of the boat, the Belafonte, from my favorite movie, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. 3D printed all of the separate sections, sanded, painted, primed, filled. I ended up dropping it and it broke in half. I even 3D printed the Lego Technic beams in here so I could insert the motors and the gears to drive the propellers out the back. You can sand, you can paint, you can use bog, which is what we call auto body filler here in Australia. And you can, fill in these gaps and make it look really nice. You get the idea. So really, there's two types of 3D prints in my opinion. Type 1 is this. It's an art piece. It's a cool project. It wants to look nice. It's a part for your car that needs to look the part. It needs to look like it belongs. It's like this prop from a video game that I made. This needs to look like the original model from the video game. The other kind of project, which I'll call type 2, is this. It's an adapter to change the batteries. It doesn't need to look nice. It doesn't need to be smooth. It just needs to fit the battery, which this one kind of does. Type 2 prints, like this one, or even this one, or this little tray piece, then your cheap consumer 3D printer is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. To take it from your standard 3D print finish, to take it to this, it's quite a lot of work. It takes time, it takes experience. So I propose another solution. Really comes down to this project I did where I wanted to make this radio and I wanted to make it look really good, and I had a really good CAD model that I was really happy with. I spent a lot of time drawing and making it look as authentic as I could, but my 3D printer, it wasn't making parts that looked good enough for this project or good enough for my CAD model. I outsourced them. That radio is made up of these pieces, which were 3D printed at PCBWay, which is a Chinese company that offers on-demand 3D printing and CNC machining and circuit board manufacturing and injection molding and I think other stuff too. Instead of buying an SLS TPU 3D printer to be able to make this crazy part, or instead of buying an HP Multijet Fusion printer to make this part, or instead of printing it and then spending my whole life sanding and filling and priming and bogging to make a part that doesn't look nearly as good, outsourcing these parts is a really good option. They're finished out of the box, game changer, and I will be printing parts through PCBWay for lots of projects moving forward.